Hello and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Aditi Mukherjee, former professor of linguistics. At the moment, I am attached to the International Institute of Information Technology, IIIT, Hyderabad. In this module, we shall talk about the structure of words, the analysis of words, and how it can be useful for natural language processing. The main objectives of this module will be A. Introduce basic notions in morphology and word formation processes. B. See how it is significant for computing in natural language processing. C. What does a morph analyzer do? And D. Why it is important to classify words into classes or paradigms. In this module, we shall discuss the internal structure of words, the notions of morpheme, root, affix, the types of morphemes, types of affixes, the word formation processes like inflection, derivation, and compounding. And we shall also do word analysis for NLP. We shall see what a morph analyzer does, how it resolves ambiguities, and why we need to have word classes or paradigms to overcome some of the problems that we have in the morph analyzer. Words are built up with smaller and minimal units of meanings, which are called morphemes. For example, in Hindi, ladki is a morpheme, and nya is a plural marker, which is also a morpheme, and together they make ladkiyan. In Telugu, ginna is a morpheme, which means vessel, and lu is a plural marker, and together they make ginnalu, which is vessels. Bangla, similarly, we have chele for boy and ra for plural, and together they make chelera. In English, boy plus s, boys. A single word may consist of one or more morphemes. One morpheme, gentle. Two morphemes, gentle plus man, gentleman. Three morphemes, gentle plus man plus lee, gentlemanly. Four morphemes, gentle plus man plus lee plus ness, gentlemanliness. There are two broad types of morphemes, roots and affixes. Root is the main meaning-bearing morpheme which contains the content of the word. Affix is an additional morpheme. For example, in Bangla, you have the root gach and you add the affix a and you get gache, which means in the tree. In Hindi, you have the affix a and the root mar, and together we get amar, which means immortal. There are four types of affixes. One is prefix. Prefixes occur before the root. For example, unsteady. Un is followed by steady. It comes before the root. Suffixes follow the root. For example, cat is the root and you add s and you get cats. Infixes are inserted into other morphemes. For example, in Tagalog, a language spoken in Philippines, the affix which means agent of an action, is infixed to the root hingi, which means borrow, to derive humingi, borrower. Fourth type of affixes is circumfixes. The affixes both precede and follow the root. So on two sides of the root you have affixes. For example, in Chickasaw, a language spoken in Oklahoma, negative is formed by a combination of a prefix ik and a suffix o. So the root is chokma and it is prefixed by ik, so it becomes ik chok ma. It is suffixed with o, so it becomes ik chok ma o. That is, he is not good. Bound morphemes. Affixes are bound morphemes. They cannot occur on their own and must combine with the root. For example, in English, un, ent, ness, s are bound morphemes. I can't just say un and mean anything. It has to, unless it combines with another root. Free morphemes are the lexical content morphemes that can occur independently. And for example, sparrow, run, scold. There are two basic processes of word formation: inflection and derivation. Inflection. Suffixes are added to a root to perform some grammatical functions like agreement for number, gender, person, tense, etc. But importantly, the category of the word remains the same. For example, walk plus ed, we get walked. Tree plus s, we get trees. But walk in the past tense remains a verb. Tree in plural remains a noun. The category has not changed. Next. In derivation, unlike inflection, it often leads to a change in the category. Not necessarily, but generally it does. Examples of derived words where the category changes are, let's say, from verb to noun. In English, dance plus you get dancer, make plus maker, etc. Verb to adjective, read plus able, readable. Beauty plus fi, beautify. Noun to adjective, child plus is childish. In Hindi, you have manav plus ika, manavika, manavik, humanitarian. Pyar plus a, pyara, lovable. Pyas plus a, pyasa, thirsty. Parajay plus ita, parajita, defeated. We can also derive nouns from adjectives. Great plus ness, greatness. In Hindi, we can have mahan plus ta, mahanta. Saman plus ta, samanta. We can derive adverb from adjectives like slow plus li, slowly. You may note that all derivational processes do not necessarily cause a category change. We can derive one noun from another noun, like human plus iti, humanity. Beauty plus shun, beautician. In Hindi, tabla plus chi, tabalchi. Banduk plus chi, bandukchi. Sharab plus e, sharabi. We can also go from one verb to the other, like re plus cover, recover, or adjective to adjective. Red plus ish, reddish. In Bangla, neel plus che, neel che, which is bluish. Holde plus te, holde te, which is yellowish. Lal plus che, lal che, reddish. Kalo plus che, kalche, blackish. In Hindi, a plus samanya, asamanya, extraordinary. New words, we can also form new words by putting together two or more words to form compound words. In English, we have examples like headstrong, blackbird, blackboard, pickpocket, bittersweet, honeymoon, limelight. Hindi, we have mata pita, akashvani, ghoshana patra. In Bangla, we have rashtrapunja, kaladhar, French, cure dent, Spanish, tocadiscos. You must note that the meaning of a compound word is not necessarily the sum of the meanings of its parts. When you can see the distinct meanings of the parts, they are called compositional compounds. But you also have non-compositional compounds where you can't relate it to the meanings of the parts. For example, an egghead, which means intellectual in today's English, does not have to have an egg-shaped head. Or for that matter, a blackboard need not necessarily be black or a board. These days, boards are green and they are not necessarily boards. They could be of any other material. Word analysis for NLP. We need to do detailed linguistic analysis of a word and its components for NLP. It is especially important for languages which have rich morphology like Hindi, Telugu, Bangla and other Indian languages, which encode a lot of information through morphology. Unlike English, which does it through syntax, Indian languages do it through morphology. There is something called a word analyzer, which first decides whether a word is a simple or a compound word. In the case of a compound word, it breaks it up into its constituent simple words with the help of a Sandhi analyzer before taking up the morphological analysis of the simple words. What does the morphological analyzer do? Their purpose is to break down a simple word into its root and affixes. When a word has more than one meaning, this can be disambiguated by providing grammatical information for each meaning. Now this is very important for computing because the meanings have to be fixed to words. Now example of ambiguity. In Hindi you have the word ladke, which can have two meanings. One is more than one ladka, more than one boy, that is the plural of ladka. The other is when it is in the oblique form, when it is followed by a postposition like ladke ne khana khaya, ladke ko bhook lagi hai, ladke mein kami hai, etc. etc. So ladke on the one hand is the plural of ladka, on the other hand it can be singular and be in the oblique form. So how is it analyzed? When it is in the direct case, teen ladke so rahe hain. When it is in the oblique case, you have is ladke ko pani do. This has been analyzed by Akshar Bharati 2004. I'm giving an example from their morph analyzer. Ladke, the first one, when it is the plural of ladka. So it gives you the root, ladka, lexical category is noun, type is common, gender masculine, number plural, person third, case direct. So all the information is included here. In the second one, second ladke, it is in the oblique case. That means it is not plural of ladka, it is singular in oblique case. So it is more or less like the first one, but notice that the number is singular and the case is oblique. So with this information now we can distinguish the meanings of the two meanings of the word ladke in Hindi. We may ask at this point why it is necessary to do the morphological analysis at all. Could we not create an exhaustive lexicon that would list all the word forms of all the roots, and along with each word form, it would indicate its feature values? That is, given any word, we could easily retrieve its feature values from such a lexicon. There are several problems with this method. A, it takes up a lot of memory space which is avoidable. There is unnecessary redundancy, as the two or more roots, for example for ladka and kapda or bachcha, follow the same rule and yet they are stored separately. The lexicon becomes repetitive and unwieldy in size. B, it lacks linguistic generalization, as it does not show the relationship among different roots that have similar word forms. Generalization is necessary when the system has to deal with a new word form. That is, given the root and the affixes separately, the system can, like human beings, understand new word forms. So if you are given the word Google, the root, and the affix able, you can create a new word form like Googleable, which is happening to these days, or Googling. So if you have to generate or if you have to understand new word forms, it is important to have generalization of this kind. C, this method would not be effective for languages which have a rich and productive morphology, as the number of potential word forms would be infinite. Note that the method would not be very useful for Indian languages that encode a lot of information morphologically. So how to overcome these three problems that we have just mentioned? We can think in terms of word classes or word paradigms. It is economical if the roots in a language can be classified into different groups or classes or paradigms depending upon the patterns followed in generating word forms. If two or three lexical items follow the same patterns, then they could be classified as one group. For example, take the word ladka and you have the word forms for ladka given below. Next. So ladka, in direct case, singular is ladka, plural is ladke. In oblique case, you have ladke in singular and ladkon in plural. Like oblique, ladke ne dekha, here the ladke is not plural, and ladkon ko देखना चाहिए, तो लड़कों here is the oblique of the plural ladke. There are many other Hindi roots that follow the same word. To give some example, the same word formation pattern, like kapda, bachcha, kela, gadha, ganna, etc. All such roots then belong to the same paradigm or word class because all of them will have the same, they will follow the same pattern for word formation. Now once you have the word class, you can have a paradigm table for that word class. Again we are coming back to ladka. Number, in the direct case, the number singular 0, 0. What does 0, 0 mean? 0 means don't drop anything, don't add anything. 0, 0. In the plural, you drop something. You drop ladka ka a and then you add a. So after dropping a, you get ladak, and then by adding a, you have ladke. In the oblique case, in the singular, you have to drop the a, so you get a 1 there, and you have to add a, you get ladke. And in the plural of the oblique case, you drop the a and add on to get ladkon. So such tables, paradigm tables, show the number of characters to be deleted from the root and the string that has to be suffixed. Take another example. This is also a ending word, kavita. So singular is kavita in the direct case. In the direct case, the plural is kavitain. In the oblique case, singular is kavita and plural is kavitaon. The difference between ladka and kavita is that in the oblique case, singular kavita remains kavita. It doesn't become kavite. So the paradigm table for kavita will be, in the singular, you drop nothing, you add nothing. In the plural, you drop the a of kavita and add a to make kavitae. In the oblique case, you drop nothing, you add nothing in the singular. In the plural, you drop the a and add on to get kavitaon. So these were two a ending words, ladka, kavita. We have another set of Hindi words that end with the sound a, but behave differently from the above two sets. The words like Raja, Mama, Chacha, Mausa. Here you will notice, next slide, in the direct case, there is no change. Raja remains Raja in the plural also. In the oblique case, singular again remains Raja, but the plural becomes Rajaon. So how is it different from ladka, kavita and kavita? How will it work in ladka? You have ladka, ladke, ladke, ladkon. In kavita you will have kavita, kavitaएं, kavita, kavitaon. And in Raja you have Raja, 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 Rajaon. So we could classify the words according to the, you can, in the next slide you can see the paradigm table for Raja, where nothing changes except in the oblique plural. The direct singular plural remains the same, oblique singular remains the same. It is only in the plural that you add on. We have discussed the internal structure of words. We have talked about the notions of morpheme, root, affix. We have talked about the different kinds of morphemes, bound and free, different kinds of affixes like prefix, suffix, infix, circumfix. We have also talked about certain word formation processes like inflection, which is generally for syntactic grammatical operations, and derivation. We have also talked about compounding of words, the three main types of word formation processes. We have then looked at how we can use this information for NLP. We have word analyzers, which first, in a compound word, they separate the two simple words and then analyze the single units. And then you have morph analyzers, which talk about the different features of the root and the suffixes, and how we've seen how the morph analyzer can resolve ambiguities. And we have seen how this method has several problems. One of the ways we could overcome these problems is by classifying words into classes or paradigms and have paradigm rules. So a lot of words will be analyzed in a finite set of rules. Thank you.